to Tim Bip Live 2024. I'm your host, Perry, and with me this time, as he always is, it's Whiskey Mutant himself, Eric.
Two things. Are we recording?
We are recording now, yes, thank you.
I'm still in love.
Okay.
With the man beside me. Our third host, Mr. Kenny Coleman.
Thank you all so much for having me. This is fun. I kid you not. This is actually my first time recording a podcast live in front of like a live audience. This has never happened before.
I thought you'd... Really?
Wow.
I mean, we've done different kinds of shows, but this is the first time of anything of this sort of stature.
That's really wild to me.
So
considering...
thank you for making sure that I'm on my game and that we can't edit this out in real time.
I love that I was your first.
You are in love already here.
I
was like, this gap between us is going to start shortening real soon.
When you're the host of the official podcast of Bourbon, I mean, that sounds like that's something that you should have... That's a milestone you should have hit at some point.
Also, you have to remember that we're the self-proclaimed official podcast of Bourbon. Like we denoted that on ourselves, you know.
Yeah. And I remember when you had that campaign too, where you were trying to, you had all the different, taglines that you were trying to get your community to decide on too, and there was no way that wasn't going to be the winner either, right? I mean, why wouldn't they say, hey, you're the official podcast of Bourbon? Too?
Might as well just run with it, right? It's like if it sticks and it works, just go.
I'm actually going to steal one of your self-proclaimed, how do you say it? Proclamation?
Self-proclaimed.
Proclaimed? Your other half, who's not here.
He's even cuter than I am. Yeah.
I mean, he's something. He said he was the people's champ.
He is.
I'm the people's champ now. I'm taking it from him.
There we go.
I'm challenging him.
You need to come out with
something.
You need to have like a Monstars jersey or something like that.
I will hoop all day on him.
Yes.
So you set that up. It'll be the first like Mortal Kombat podcast.
Oh, I like that. I'm more of like a Sub-Zero Scorpion kind of person, so I get it.
Fatality him all day long. All right. So you tell him, you take that message
all
back
our
to
90s
him.
like gamers around here understand that kind of rationale, because anybody today, they're like, wait, you used to have a code that you'd rip off somebody's head? I'm like, absolutely. Yeah, this is what it was.
Yeah, and it was the scariest thing I'd ever seen in my entire life. I had nightmares for weeks.
Grade.
Yeah. Wait until you see this.
Yeah.
Hey, when we start episodes, we normally start things out with a segment called Flying Blind. And because Kenny here has never participated in that, we wanted to highlight something that, we came after Bourbon Pursuit started. So there was a feeling of we had something to aspire to. Right.
I don't like to hear that. That just makes me feel like we got
it's okay.
Our mountain keeps getting higher or something.
So we of course wanted to maybe not emulate, but we are like Bourbon Pursuit is something that we always that's maybe the gold standard, right, in bourbon podcasting. And then you guys took it a step further, and now you're bourbon creators as well. You're actually making bourbon too. And so we like to
We want to make bourbon.
I'll tell you not to do it because it's the... It's like that's the phone call we should have not taken.
Because you're roughly how much in debt?
Close to $8 million right now. So it's not laughing matter, y'all.
You heard it here first, folks.
I have bank notes and college tuition riding on this shit. Okay, compared to the government. I mean, we are still small peas at the end of the day. No, but I truly appreciate that, Perry, and that's awful nice of you to say. We had a very, we had some early success because we were a first mover in the space. And, the idea of the podcast only came because we were in a situation where we said, here's a medium that really hasn't been infiltrated a lot. I mean, you start seeing bloggers and YouTubers kind of start coming online, but really there was really no podcasters. And And at the time, you had Mark Gillespie of Whiskey Cast. I always give a shout out to him because he was the original.
He was the OG.
He's the OG of it. Like y'all, I kid not. Like he was like 10 years even before we started. I'm talking where you couldn't even subscribe to do it. You had to literally download his MP3s and put them onto your iPod to go and listen to it. Like that's how long ago it was, right? So that he's the original OG of being able to do this. And he was the one that actually told us to keep going when we had a kind of a down moment when we thought we weren't going to start this or keep it going. But yeah, I mean, we saw an opportunity to actually go and really share the stories of people that are inside of the bourbon industry. Inside of the bourbon industry, because that was something that really wasn't being done at the time. Of like, we all know the Nose and your Jim Rutledges and all these kind of people, but you didn't really hear from them. And so being able to take an opportunity to actually go and interview them and take their story and share it with the world was kind of a first of its kind. And, COVID kind of killed a lot of that because everybody's like, oh, well, we can do a podcast and we can do whatever. And then here we are a few years later, and then all these podcasts are now, right? Except a few lucky ones that stuck it out.
And you know what's so funny about that too is that you wound up being able to bring Fred Minnick into the Bourbon Pursuit space and
who's that?
Okay.
Sorry.
My Mark Gillespie was Fred, who first called out my interviewing skills, and that was what helped me push past the like, am I really doing this for anything? Do I really feel like that I have a space for this? So it is nice to see that there are some like kind of parallels there as well, and Fred still remains like a mentor to me too. So it's nice that like there have still been these like cross sections and everything as well.
Will you as him being your mentor, will you please tell him my name is Eric and not Derek? I mean, I've been waiting for a while now.
What do you mean?
Just tell him.
You got it in over here. I can probably.
Please, I'll slide it in. Let him know that my name is Eric, not Derek, and it's
you got
all
it, Derek.
good.
Not a problem.
All right. Shit. Here
I'll
we
catch
go.
that.
He'll figure it out eventually. Anyway, so we're not quite whiskey makers.
Close.
We're whiskey finishers.
Yeah.
Is that what? I don't know. You should call yourself whiskey finishers. And
yeah,
be like,
probably not. That didn't really come out the way that I wanted it to.
This is where we finish.
Great.
I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah. Anyway, so
whiskey quickie, 69 seconds.
It all comes to this moment in Lexington.
Here we go.
Fantastic.
Okay. Flying Blind is our segment of the show where we like to warm up our palates for the episode, and we always like to blind one or the other person with a particular pour, and this is the blind pour that we have here.
Ready to go into it. I mean, this is if this is not an Armagnac finish, then I have no idea what it is, because that's at least what I can pull off of here. I mean, it's got those hearty, like raisins, dark cherries, like everything like that going on for sure.
I don't remember the finish being like that. It's gotten better.
This has been sitting for a few days, and I don't think, maybe not turned.
What do you think? Would you bottle this?
I think it needs something.
So here's the first thing. What you notice is the color out of this, right? And as a whiskey geek, that's the first thing that we typically look at is color. Because if you see like hay or straw color, you immediately start going like, all right, here we go. Some more, 3.5 year MGP finishing someone else. But when you see something this dark, you're going like, okay, well, now I'm intrigued. And you get into it. Like I said, for me, any big Armagnac fans, like people that like own a bunch of bottles of like straight Armagnac and love it. Like this is honestly like when I look and I smell it and I taste it, like that is truly the first thing that rings home for me, because it does have this, fortified wine type of very like deep port kind of taste to it as well.
He's hitting it on the head right there. I mean, that's what we were going for exactly when we did this.
Yeah. So, so the question was, do we bottle this?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Oh,
I think so. I don't think waiting around is going to help it any longer.
Oh, okay.
I think right now,
we need to take it out.
Like you're at the point now where it's like you have a transitional element for people that are whiskey drinkers versus Armagnac. By the way, there was also like a point. It had to have been 3 years ago. Do you remember when a lot of Armagnac started coming on the scene and people really started talking about it? Because people were like, bourbon's so done with, and we're moving on to the next thing. We're going to rum. We're going to here, and that's when everybody flooded that orange wax bottle of Armagnac that everybody started talking about. And honestly, it's very reminiscent of this.
Yeah. So this is kind of in the same vein of experimentation that we have just had fun with over the, the past year or so, of seeing what Maker's Mark's experimentation with 46 could be done at other distilleries, and it's the French oak influence too.
It's a huge French oak influence in there. Yeah.
Being such Wild Turkey fans, we wanted to see what it would do with Wild Turkey 101. So I guess now we have to call it Jimmy.
I'm sure we can just bottle that right.
Yeah, I'm sure that if he would be more than willing to give up just
he'll sign on that one
barrels of turkey, so we could tamper with it and throw it together.
The darkest bottle of 101 you're going to see in your life, right there.
I don't know what you're talking about. This was actually the espresso that was made in the hotel room.
It's a coffee liqueur if I've ever seen it.
Yeah, it's incredibly funky. I mean, I would, on my own line, never be able to pick this out as a turkey product. But we've messed around with it with the French oak influence on so many different pours. But just Turkey 101 on its own has an incredible range of motion, and the French oak alongside of it. It just blows it wide open, I feel like. And it's just
Wild Turkey 46.
What'd you use to finish it with?
French oak chips.
Okay.
So it's just toasted French oak. And they're actually still in the bottle.
Oh, they're still in the bottle.
Yeah. So I guess it's time to dump and
sell it.
Stuff. Yeah. So
Venmo me.
I'll just pass it around as well for anybody who's here too. So Eric did just crack the double oaked Pursuit. Way to bump right into the microphone.
Would you like to have your own whiskey? Or
I've had my own whiskey before. I'm happy to talk about it.
Have you ever had this?
I'm over here drinking our Rye Rita right now, so I'm a big fan of that one.
Before we get to the official interview, tell us about this concoction that you have here. Well, it's a hit. That's all I'm going to say.
I was going to say, I'm sure a lot of people have had the Rye Rita so far, and it is a hit. And that's because if I had to think back and I had to think of what's a good podcast that would work well, Margarita Pursuit would have been the way to go.
Because sexy as hell.
Everybody loves margaritas. I have never found one person in my life that said, you know what, I hate margaritas. Never.
Get out of here.
I don't believe you. I don't believe it for a bit. I've never found that in my life. So, I always have to have a tip of the hat to Ryan, who's of course our co-host and co-founder and everything like that. And the reason the Rye Rita was born is because he was on a boat on the lake with his family one summer, and you're on a boat, you're always drinking. It's kind of par for the course there, for you to say. And they ran out of tequila as they were making margaritas, and he goes, our rye whiskey, it's pretty citrus forward.
It's legit.
Let's see how this works. Lo and behold, that's how the Rye Rita was born. Just swapped out tequila, Trace agaves right
Nice and
with
easy.
it. I mean, it's the perfect substitute. And,
Nice and easy.
And that's why everybody loves it, because it's a perfect little incline ramp until when you start drinking all the double oak bourbons and everything like that too.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous.
It is. And it's like every single one of these has almost an ounce of whiskey in it.
And I've had 10.
That's a lot.
Thanks.
It'll creep up on you. So
I will say,
I was making sure everybody had fun tonight. That's really what I was here for.
I will say your rye whiskey has always been one of my favorites. I've raved about it.
I appreciate it. I've seen all your videos, so
yes.
it's awesome. Awesome.
I went 69 on that thing. So good.
Oh, God.
But
Tell me more.
But I will. Speaking of my wife, 69. What? Oh, I better not say that.
It's not as good, is it? Right? I mean, I get it.
But
The rye whiskey really stands a cut above.
she loves old fashions, and she loves them with rye. And I always keep your rye for the old fashions. And I took her over there, and she had one of those, and it was an instant hit. So
I'm glad.
you go. Try it if you haven't. Try the rye by itself. Try it in the cocktail. It's amazing. Perry, you better start talking.
What I think makes the entire pursuit line to so functional in the bourbon world is that it's coming from people who are the most in step and knowledgeable about bourbon brands, right? And anybody can go to NDPs. They can come out as NDPs. They can go to a broker and say, I want X amount of barrels, or they can go to a contractor and say, I want this particular mash bill, and they can lay down barrels and, this, that, and the other. But to spend X amount of time reviewing product or drinking even the bad stuff and know what doesn't work, right? Once you actually go to create your own product, in some ways you are able to bypass a little bit of the homework.
Well, I mean, you've had a bunch of whiskey. We've all had a bunch of whiskey here before. And,
Sure.
We've had our fair share of bad whiskey. I
Yeah.
understand that. There is going to be bad whiskey out there. And, we were in a very fortunate position where we had, 2 to 3 bottles showing up every single week at the doorstep, and people wanting to just have us review it and talk about it. And I know it's like a woe is me sort of thing. People are like, oh, this is so bad because it's free whiskey. I kid you.
I just don't have room for it.
I kid you not. My wife used to call it floor bourbon because we would have so much whiskey across the floor. Because all you would do is you'd pop it, take a little sip, and you're like, well, that's it. Then it's done. It's on the floor.
Yep.
And she was like, what are you going to do with all this shit? And I'm like, I have no idea.
I'll tell you. We made a whole segment about it on our Patreon. We have a thing called Pours from the Floor because I got in trouble for having so much floor whiskey that we had to finish bottles, and we finished bottles, and you get to hear what we think about the last little bit of them. We call it Pours from the Floor. So yes, it is a thing, and I guess wives are the ones
because everything is content.
Everything is content.
Whatever you can conjure up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was just one of those things. We were lucky enough to try a bunch of different whiskey. And when we came out with our product, it was just like, well, what are you going to do that's different than everybody else? Everybody here and everybody that's listening, if you're listening to a bourbon podcast, the odds of you, what the hell happens in the background. You know that there's only 5 different distilleries that supply 90% of the market. And that's when we really looked at it and we said, well, if we just go and we partner with somebody like Bardstown Bourbon Company and we buy their whiskey, and by the way, we love Bardstown, they're in the back, and we are a partner with them, by the way,
and we will hear from them later as well.
And so it's just like, but if we're just going from one source, one mash bill, like getting it from wherever, and we put it in a bottle, well, we're gonna be stuck in this position when people are gonna say, well, what makes you different than them? Or what makes you better? Why is your bottle so more expensive? Because they came out with their Origin series at $40 and we're like, what the fuck? Like, how can we compete with this? Right?
How many times do y'all believe?
I don't know, man. I kind of give up after a little while.
Fuck.
All right. Anyway, I'll curb it. But that was just one of those things. We just
There's no children in the room, are there?
There's just
listening?
no way we can compete with it. Oh, there's Tony. He's
He's our baby. I got 3 dads.
Let's move on.
I got a question.
Let's move on.
I got
Let's
a
move
question.
on. Okay.
And this is kind of some advice. What would your response be? So, as somebody who went from reviewing whiskey to making whiskey or having a brand, did it change how you review things? Because we feel like we want to be open and honest, and I know I can say some things probably that are a little risque sometimes, and maybe they'll call me out, or people will send us messages and say, don't be, do your research. They worked hard on this stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm just being honest, and I may say it in a different way. Did that change the way that you review things once you were on the other side, or are you still kind of keeping it that way? And then, do you like the straightforward honesty, or are you like, hey, come on, like, give us a break or something? Like, how do you feel about those two sides of things?
Yeah, I think what we ended up doing, it started before we built the brand, just because we would get stuff. And here's the thing. We used to put out some negative reviews.
Yeah.
It does nothing but hurt everybody. That's all it does. It just hurts everybody. What happens when you put something on the internet? It's there forever. And what do we know what happens with whiskey the longer it's in the barrel? Obviously, it's probably going to get better. So if you put out a negative review about this distillery that's trying really hard, they're putting it out there like, hey, here's our 3-year-old whiskey. What do you think? And you just slam it. Like, that's going to be there forever. And it's going to, because it's the first one out there. It's going to get the most SEO. It's going to get the most hits. And it's the first thing that's always there. So we've kind of taken a different approach now that we can only review 52 whiskeys a year, because we only put out one whiskey quickie a year and one per week. Or sorry, 52 whiskeys per year, one per week.
That's a lot of quickies.
It is a lot of quickies. Yeah. My wife doesn't think as much.
Whoa.
No, I'm just kidding.
Jeez Louise, man.
But this was one of those things that we said, well, let's make sure that we look at and focus on the brands that people know and love and trust, and they want to hear from. Like, I get it. Every once in a while, there's a brand that comes out of the woodwork, and you're like, we got to talk about this. Years ago, it was Woodinville, right? I mean, like, you have all these brands that just all of a sudden come up, and you've got to preach the gospel of it. But anytime you come across anything that's going to be like, listen, this isn't going to help anybody by putting it out, we just don't do it anymore. I mean, as bad as it sounds, a lot of people just want to see the review of the next Elijah Craig Barrel Proof than what's going to be the next great craft whiskey. And that's the part that I think it really kind of sucks at the end of the day. I feel that we're getting to the point where more people are getting into whiskey, which is great, but people are still stuck on the big six and whatever it is. And they're just focused on like, oh, there's these 3 releases a year, and there's the next Old Fitz, and then this is the next William LaRue or whatever it's going to be. And it's like, what about everybody else? Like, there's 200 different distilleries out here that are putting out really great whiskey that should probably be talked about as well. And so we're trying to find a lot of those stories to help bring to the light at this point.
And it's hard to balance being a content creator while also being a bourbon creator as well.
I mean,
those are 2 entirely different worlds, and also being a husband and a dad.
That's tertiary. No, I'm kidding. My wife and my daughter.
Now we're getting into therapy session, and Kenny, how does that really make you feel?
Right, though, it's like you have this point about it where it's like there's so much good whiskey to talk about, and we have to get it out there and have to make people find it. I mean, years ago, nobody heard of Frey Ranch. now
Sure.
everybody's chasing after it, right?
Yeah.
All it took was for a few people to really kind of latch on to it. And I think that's really like the thing that I find really interesting about the space that we're all in, is that the power that we have is being able to find great whiskey and be able to talk about it. But also, to your point, is trying to find the balances of when we do talk about it, we have to be cognizant of actually owning our own brand.
Yeah.
We can't over rotate on being able to talk about it, because believe me, I've heard it before, and people are always like, oh, all you do is talk about your own brand. It's blah, blah, blah. This is boring, and so on and so forth. And it's like, well, I think our show's gotten better because of it, because now we know how to talk about compliance. We know how to talk about the business aspect of what it is to actually run and build your own whiskey company that nobody else had any opportunity before. Because maybe people would come on and talk about your mash bill. Like, let's get beyond that. Let's talk a little bit deeper about the story and the business side of, because everybody here is in some sort of fashion of an industry that they work in that has some like, whether it's accounting or whether it's compliance or whether it's literally anything that might have something to do with it that they can find a connection to. Science, I mean, you name it.
Sure.
And so being able to find that connection is really where I really like to hone in on now.
Yeah. Do you want to introduce what we're about to do here?
Yes. So, as I mentioned before, we try to do something special. Perry was nice enough to let somebody who poured whiskey over snack cakes be a part of the podcast. Oh, look, our lovely wives. Oh, my goodness. Give them a hand. So,
Goodness gracious.
Oh, wow.
So,
Thank you, Lucy. Thank you, April.
something special we want to do is always do something that hopefully you don't get at any other like event, a bourbon con, whatever. So this is, and everybody's going to get to try this, and be patient as we get it. We had to like get this prepped.
Am I allowed to start eating?
Hold on.
Okay. I was like, this smells so good.
Connor, I need the rye. So this is a bread pudding that was made by our friends at the Obstinate Sons. Dexter Murray, previously of the American. And he's awesome, and he loves doing crazy stuff. So I said, what kind of Little Debbie dessert can we do?
Insanity.
So he
Can
was
you
like,
put
you know
together?
what? Let's work on this. So we started texting and all that. We were going to have a Little Debbie zebra cake bread pudding.
Oh, wow.
Only here, like this. And the cool thing about this is, and this was actually, we were trying to figure out what kind of, the bourbon drizzle to put on it. This is a bourbon drizzle. It's not bourbon, though. It's rye. And this was made with your rye.
Oh, I love it.
The Pursuit
Now
United
can I eat
rye.
it? No, I'm just kidding.
This is all for you, and we're going to do a pour over, all three of us together. We're going to take a little bit of this, we're going to pour it over, and we're going to enjoy this. And then after we're done, we'll do a giveaway and all that, but we'll get it ready, and everybody gets to have some of this. This is a Little Debbie zebra cake bread pudding with Pursuit United rye drizzle. So,
Awesome. Cheers. Thank you so
cheers.
much.
Yes.
Of course, buddy. So we'll try it first without the pour over.
And also, if you make chewing noises and stuff in the mic, people send you really hateful messages.
They
hate
really
it.
do. It's
So
so
if you want to lose Patreon supporters, don't do that.
Just eat in the microphone. Other than that, here we go. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Thanks, Kenny.
This is awesome.
So we'll try it first, and then we'll do a pour over. Oh my God.
Oh,
I'm about to cuddle you on this couch.
I was about to say, who made this again?
The Obstinate Sons.
Oh,
I'll give you their card. Here
no,
you go.
we'll need more than that.
The
Diabetes.
This is delicious.
So,
well, diet starts on Monday.
all right, go ahead. I want to see. Somebody get this on. We got a video camera, but somebody go ahead and put it on there. Is this your first pour over?
This might be.
Another first. I
another
got you
first.
twice in the same night. Let's go.
Oh,
That's a drippy one.
That was memorable.
They,
Patrick, get this.
I figured we'd make it memorable.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's the count. You gotta.
So I'm assuming that if anybody wants to do another pour over, they can visit the booth back there.
Oh,
and
yeah, for sure.
visit
Going
the
back
table.
there. Say hi to our other ambassador, Connor. By the way,
Oh my God!
how well it worked out. How well it worked out. I know.
We've lost him.
I'm eating just
Folks.
like bread soup over here with rye whiskey.
It's gonna be more than 69 seconds.
I'm going all night long with this one.
All night.
Perry, you got
And I'm a huge dessert person. Like if I have to
That's
choice,
incredible.
If I have a choice of eat ice cream before dinner, like I'll probably do it. And
They
so
say you're
this is-
supposed to eat chocolate before dinner anyway.
I mean,
So-
this is the way to do it.
Kenny, you have now officially been inducted into the Tim Bip family.
I really appreciate it. It's quite an honor. I wish I
Thank
could bestow something upon you, like a lightning bolt patch or something to commemorate this, but fortunately I don't. But this is the next best thing. So thank you.
Regardless, man, such a fan of Pursuit United, everything that you all are doing. Thank you for including us as well in media releases too. When you all first sent us media samples, it was like being handed down gifts from the heavens as the recognition. It was so cool. But
Well,
cheers,
absolutely.
thanks for being a part of this.
I want to commend you as well, and I think I've probably told you in person before. And for anybody that doesn't know, the amount of work that it goes into building a podcast is far greater than you probably imagine. As we're sitting here right now, this is the easiest part of it. And everything that goes into the logistics, the planning, the marketing, the post-production, whatever it is to get it out, the hours upon hours, the extra 40 hours a week that you're putting into something is an intense amount of just physical effort that it takes, and as well as mental effort, just to be able to put something out there and you just hope people listen. And that's really what it is. And so thank you to you all for the amount of time that it does go into it. There's so many stories out there that are need to be told, that need to be out there. And I'm just glad that we have friends like you in the industry to be able to come and tell more stories and bring more people into the fold, find more audiences to help find greater love into whiskey and bourbon and everything that we're all building together. So thank you both.
Thank you, Kenny.
That's like the nicest thing anybody's ever said.
It's been a minute since we've had this guy on the podcast. It was mid-pandemic, I think, the last time that we chatted about your bourbon adventures. But Barry Brenniger of RD1 is joining us now. Very excited to have you along to
Thank you.
talk about what's going on with your newest branding. Back in the day, it was William Tarr.
Yeah.
But nowadays, you're paying homage to the original distillery, DSP in Lexington.
Ashland Distillery.
Yeah, so talk about that change for a moment too.
If I could back up a little bit and kind of piggyback on Kenny, we're
No,
not.
you're not allowed to piggyback on me and Barry. This is not your show, okay?
We're not 8 million in debt.
We're about 60 million.
Yeah. We're 15 million on the brand, and we're 30 million on the liquid. So we're taking a much deeper dive.
Tonight's the night we
into
find
debt.
out how much everybody's in debt.
How much are we in debt?
Patrick,
If there's a visual for drowning, your lips are just barely above water.
with a straw.
Drink more bourbon.
We brought our VIP group for This Is My Bourbon Weekend too, which was our kind of add-on for the whole event to RD1 yesterday too. And part of the tasting experience was not just the core lineup with RD1, but it was also getting the opportunity to taste straight from the barrel as well, which for a lot of people, you're not able to do unless you're going on a barrel pick. anymore. And you and I discussed this as well. It's kind of the cherry on top for a lot of people if they go to some of these smaller distilleries, right? And not only are they able to taste straight from the barrel, they're also able to thieve straight from the barrel as well, and then potentially pour it into their own glass as well.
Yeah.
And that was, to me, like I said, the cherry on top. But why did that speak to you for a visitor experience?
Well,
when they
ultimately,
come to RD1?
I'm a consumer. I love the experience of going out and doing bourbon events. And so if a consumer comes in, I want them to have that same kind of experience. And typically, if you do a barrel pick, you're in the 1% of people across the country, across the world that have done a barrel pick. But if you're able to come in and have that same experience, and I know Kenny, you guys do a great job with being able to thieve straight from the barrel. It's one of the things that when people come, you get to have that one of a kind experience. And there's no pretense. You want to come in, I'll give you a 200 ml bottle. You just go thieve from it, and we'll put a sticker on it, make it legal. You can walk out with your own barrel select. So the important part is that we're promoting bourbon. Bourbon's American native spirit, but we make all 95% of all the world's bourbon here in Kentucky. We need to continue to promote that, and that's one of the things that we're doing along with Pursuit and Bardstown Bourbon Company and Dark Arts. I mean, how much fun is this? We've got people that really nerd out about bourbon, but we're continuing to bring that bourbon tourism into the state of Kentucky.
I think the fun part about this is that we always have to one-up each other.
Yeah.
I mean, that's truly what it is, right? It's like as soon as somebody comes out with like a cool tour, you go, crap, why didn't we think about that?
Yeah.
And everybody goes and tries to pivot and try to figure out what the next thing is. And as being the home in Kentucky of bourbon, and this is where everybody comes, everybody's always searching for that next great thing. So that's the great thing about being in this industry. Whether we're all on the same team, but we're always trying to pivot and trying to figure out, well, what are they doing? What are we doing? What can we do differently? And try to build on top of each other. Yeah.
Imitation is the greatest form of flattery. And you look at Dark Arts, man. I love Macaulay. Holy shit! This guy. Sorry, we can bleep that out.
Shit.
At this point,
does it really matter at this
edit
point? It's going to get age restricted on YouTube. Whatever. Who cares?
Macaulay, that guy is he's in California right now. He's in 22 states. When did he come to market? Did he come to market last year? This year?
Basically,
holy crap. Yeah. I mean, he is all over the place. But what I love about it is innovation. If the bourbon industry, if we don't continue to innovate, then we're going to continue to have an issue with, we've got to figure out what's that next best thing. And we're trying to, imitate what other people are doing, but ultimately, we've got to create an experience that is, people that are coming in, mashing, fermenting, and distilling. You got to have those tours, but you got to do that next level. That next level is what more can we do to have this experience? And it could be advanced sensory tasting. It can be entertainment that we're combining, and that's what's happening. The Napification of the Bourbon Trail all across the state is happening, and you're going to continue to see this wonderful type of experience happening in Lexington and Louisville and all across the state. Love what's happening with the Kentucky Bourbon Trail.
Well, it's not just the actual experience that is innovative, right? Especially with RD1, it's also the products that you all are creating, right? And in our talking yesterday, you brought up something that kind of hit home for me a little bit, and I wanted to talk about this because this was something that I was hoping maybe down the line in the back of my brain would maybe happen somehow, some way. And the fact that it's happening in Lexington, Kentucky is very, very cool. Now, every now and then, Eric takes a nap while we're in the middle of recording a podcast. Audio listeners, love you to death, but Eric just laid his head down on Kenny's lap.
This is called being comfortable.
Yes, it is.
With everybody.
You're
There's always one of them, isn't there?
We're just trying to be intimate.
It's just
Barry, I'm going to ask you to pour a little bit of what is this, by the way, that you brought to the casting couch is what I almost said. My brain is broken. Eric, thank you for that.
wow.
So what I'm pouring here is a RD1. It's a barrel pick. It's the Whiskey Council. It's my company. It's a wholesale whiskey company. But I do a lot of the barrel picks with RD1 Spirits. We're thieving out of these barrels each and every time we do a barrel pick. And this one, it's a Kentucky straight bourbon. It's 122 proof. And it absolutely it's a honey barrel. It blossoms.
Yeah.
And so, I got permission after the fact with my wife to buy this barrel. We have 171 bottles in our garage.
Shout out to the wives out there.
It is so the wives, you guys rule.
Yay!
We're selling this bottle tonight, so if you want to buy a bottle, we absolutely are selling it.
Mosick makes an appearance.
Yeah.
Mosick said yes, please.
Mosick.
Anyway, to circle back, one of the coolest things that distilleries, especially some of the newer distilleries, have the chance to do is revive brands. And you are reviving a brand, my friend.
Yeah. So let me just say, we're not reviving Lexington's first registered distillery, which was the Ashland Distillery. We're not reviving. We're paying honor and respect to that. But I am trying to get a trademark for Van Hook. So any Van Hook fans out there, anybody know the Van Hook label? Family members of Van Hook.
I have mom out there knows.
Yeah,
Mom.
my mom's maiden
Wait a
name.
second, hold on. There's a lawsuit coming now.
My mother's maiden name is Van Hook, so somewhere down the family line,
You better beat them to it.
the Van Hooks were whiskey makers. It had to have split off somewhere. We're not entirely sure. There might have been. But in Somerset, Kentucky, the family resided. So the Van Hooks made whiskey at some point, and the brand is being revived.
Yeah.
By
So
RD1.
last year, IJW out of Beverly Hills applied for this trademark twice, and they got turned down by the TTB. My trademark attorney thinks that there was a lack of a hyphen between Van Hook, and so we've applied for it. We believe that we're going to get that trademark. So if we get that trademark, I've got 7 ounces of a Van Hook bottle that's pre-prohibition, and so I mean we're gonna do everything that we can to pay honor and respect to Van Hook. But I'm super excited about the opportunity to bring that. Everybody loves a good bourbon story, but it's what's in that bottle that's going to bring you back to drink it and then tell your friends about it. It all matters. Marketing, it all matters. It's the appearance, it's the aroma, it's the palate, it's the finish. It all matters. The story matters, but you have to be authentic. You can't do the smoke and mirror about, we're resurrecting this brand. We have no idea what the mash bill is, but, it all matters. Ultimately, we want to create experiences for people that come here. So, that Van Hook label will be, once a year. I'm hoping it's going to be like a B-Tac, so we'll do a once a year release. But the family members, you guys will get a bottle, and we'll thank you so much for the contribution.
So that's 7 ounces of the original one. The 1 ounce, what are we pouring over a snack?
Oh my gosh. You know, you
I'm
guys have
69 with you
transformed
there.
my
I mean,
life.
We're 69 together. And
Okay, well, Barry, it's been really great. Thanks so much for coming and hanging out with us tonight.
You know, we've got our couch over here. We're happy to go do more if you want.
I mean,
you all are going to be in 29 states by the end of the year, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
So creeping up throughout the U.S. Really enjoying the products that you all have. Absolutely incredible core line. Just fantastic products. Thank you so much for being a part of the evening.
go visit Barry if you haven't. Get a bottle. He said stuff for sale.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you all.
He made me enjoy an Amberana finished whiskey the other day. He made me have honey with it.
Kenny,
Honey.
you're saying there's a chance?
I mean, you know, there's maybe.
He made me lick a spoon of honey with it.
You can't put me on the spot when it comes to Amberana because I think anybody that knows us that we have a deep hatred for it. It's no there as we had a great conversation with Barry at our place one day, and there is a place for everybody and everyone and whiskey, and some people like Amberana, and the people that don't are better people. I'm just kidding. I just made that one up, but cheers.
Yeah. Sorry.
That went deep. Right
I was
away.
just.
You got things off to a real weird start there, but we do have Kia from Bardstown Bourbon Company here now.
Uh-oh.
Kia, thank you so much for being here.
Yes.
We are massive fans of Bardstown Bourbon Company as it is already, but
Awesome.
Any chance that we get to share the gospel of Bardstown Bourbon Company, of course.
I mean, of course, we're just one of the new modern distilleries in the bourbon field, and I love our brand.
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear that you all are in love with us as
Oh, we
well.
love it. So much.
Of course.
We're not deep rooted in tradition, so we're just trying to do creative, innovative, new things in the bourbon culture and make it make sense. And I like to say we like the color outside the lines a lot, but yeah.
So what did you bring
The
up?
mutants. The mutants. They're
Mutants, yeah, absolutely.
they're mutants.
So what did you bring up for us to drink along as we're
Well,
we're
I was already
chatting?
sipping. Yes. First of all, you all have been amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's not very often I get to be a part of live podcasts and doing tastings for amazing people. And
Did your
you
marketing
guys,
people clear you for this, by the way?
No.
Did they say, oh, no?
No,
Okay,
no,
so
no.
You might have to get a sign-off come Monday.
no.
She
this
just kind of
is true.
showed up with the Bardstown Bourbon
Yeah, I
Company
was
shirt
like,
on.
I'm
and
gonna
we're
be in
like,
here.
Are you supposed to be?
She's 10-bit family now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm in here now. But no, this experience has been pretty awesome. So cheers to you all.
Yes,
You got
thank
a
you all
glass,
again.
put it up in the air. I mean,
Cheers, gang.
I've been in the field in the bourbon world, spirits world, I should say, for 10 years. And I've been with Bardstown since 2019 as a regional brand ambassador and have grown since that to be the off-premise events coordinator for both Bardstown and Green River. As you know, we are sister companies. And yeah, just to see this type of energy, everyone come together from different origins, different regions, just to connect over bourbon is pretty cool. So I'm just honored to be here with you all. I had to put that out there, but I'm ready. Okay.
yes.
So what I'm sipping on.
The hard
You gotta get some.
I already know. I'm sorry.
No, you don't have to apologize.
I was back there and I couldn't see up here. I didn't know.
Is it easier for us to pour it on? Kenny, do you want to
Actually,
one as well?
before
Kenny already
He
did.
came over. He was ready.
He prepared.
I'm not going to say I'm a pro move, but
I
did
mean-
The guy who
some
just said,
before
"This is
I
my
started."
first live podcast."
I was having
I'm
a
not
nice
pro.
family moment, okay? I just broke some really cool news to my mom and my dad about
I
a
saw
brand
it. It was
new.
very
Yes.
heartwarming.
We didn't hear the
it was
news,
very
but okay.
endearing, so it
You
was,
didn't
it
hear
was
back there?
fantastic.
I did not hear the news.
Okay,
Did you
well,
all
that-
hear the news?
They're having a baby.
No, okay, it wasn't that.
Are you serious?
Lucy, show everybody.
Having
My
a baby.
Lucy!
No, I mean she is, but she's like halfway through the pregnancy. It's not like brand new news. No.
Well, you're just now telling your parents? Oh my God.
No, Barry is bringing back a brand that is my.
Oh, no, yes, I
seriously-
did hear that. Okay,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay. No.
Carry
So
on.
you're having a baby. So
My
there we go.
apologies.
Okay.
Well,
It's called Brandon.
congratulations.
Sorry, Lucy, didn't mean to put you on the
Fun
spot.
next fall.
Yay!
You can't hear me at all, can you?
But
She's not even listening.
Yep.
No, it's really fun.
that's all right.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
All right,
Anyway,
what we
moving
got?
on.
Let's leave her be. But yes, so what
The
we're
bottle comes in
having.
at 8 pounds, 6 ounces.
It's a lot of bourbon.
That's what it took to make it.
I don't know what you're talking about me, but it's what it is.
Oh my goodness. But no, Bardstown Bourbon. So if you all know anything about us, our history, we're not deep rooted in history, but we finally are old enough and have created our origin series. And it's 3 parts
Oh,
to the
it's so
series,
good.
but the one that I'm sipping on and that I did pours for the gentleman up here is our bottled and bond, our weeded. I am head over heels
Oh.
for this. It is like vanilla ice cream for me. It is very special. So if you haven't got to try it yet, make sure you stop by to see me.
Somebody's
because
trying to come get us.
it is pretty.
Wow, it's
oh,
Mostic.
oh, there
What
we
a
go.
surprise.
Hey,
What a
I love
surprise.
it. There we
Mostic's
go.
running back up to get a pour.
It feels like this is a trend.
You didn't even go
It
here.
is
You didn't go to the school.
when you say vanilla ice cream, I get that, but on the finish, I get that strawberry
Yeah.
syrup that you put on.
I
It's
know.
like it's a strawberry and vanilla sundae. It's so good.
I'm telling you, I call this baby like it's easy like a Sunday morning.
No.
You know?
Oh, don't say that.
You
There
know?
it goes.
Easy like a Sunday morning. Okay, wait a
Choir
minute now.
said chime
Yeah,
in
no,
now.
no.
And the
Well,
voice is in the building. So but no, it's pretty
All the
special.
chairs have turned around.
It's pretty special, pretty special. This one is actually our master distiller, Steve Nally. If you know anything about him, he
Yeah.
is like the wheat king and from Maker's Mark traditionally, and retired and went to do many things and then came with us. And this recipe is his baby. He had it for many, many years. And it was the first one that we ran on our stills. So that's not why it's my favorite. I just love the taste. I think it's it's just special.
It's
so
great.
if you've had it, you get what I mean. So
And it's 6 years.
And it's 6
right?
years, yeah.
It,
yeah.
It's. I think that young weeded bourbon is so hard to get right, you know, but under the care of somebody like Steve Nally,
Yes.
it's going to come out okay. I mean, and at Bardstown Bourbon Company, where time after time after time, we just see success.
Yes.
I mean, that it just is proof that, no pun intended, there is going to be great product. And, you know, sitting across from each other are 2 people. I mean,
We're
there's
family.
literally brand synergy happening, and not
Yes.
to use buzzwords or anything.
Oh, yeah, we pay them a shit ton of money every year.
So not to get into the weeds or the Excel books or anything, but how much in debt is Bardstown Bourbon? No, but I mean,
laughed this hard in a while.
as far as like, you know, for you guys too, and why did it make sense for Bardstown Bourbon Company?
Oh, I mean,
to
for
be
us,
who
it
you
was kind
partnered
of
I
a
love that.
thank you for asking that.
Yeah,
but
that's
I mean,
a great
it
question.
really wasn't. It was a no-brainer because when we first got started, some of the first distillate we tried was actually from Chicken Cock whiskey, which is already distilling at Bardstown Bourbon Company, and we tried it and we said, "Holy crap, this is really good."
Yeah.
I wish we were smart enough that from years before then that we were starting to put down whiskey, but that was really the inclination, the kind of the tipping point where we said we need to start putting down whiskey over here too, and it's everybody has been to Bardstown. They know that they are the pinnacle of what it is for hospitality and good bourbon and just all that together. And knowing that we're one of their good distilling partners, like that, it always tickles me to know that we're doing something good there. And for us, you know, we just wanted to make sure that we made something that is going to be, it's within the realm of what they can do, but is still also ours. So the cool thing of what Bardstown is able to do is that they can bring on new clients, but they said, listen, you don't have to take whatever standard here. You can take whatever standard and twist it and turn it to make it whatever it is that you want to be of your own. And that's exactly what we did. We took one of their standard mash bills, but we tweaked it a little bit. We have our own types of barrels that we're doing, and they're happy to be able to do it. So having them as one of our distilling partners, it's huge.
And
It's
it's
awesome.
so much bigger too than just Pursuit Spirits as well. I mean, you all are laying down barrels constantly for these new brands too. I mean, brands we likely haven't even heard of yet.
Right.
And as much conversation as there is around like the bourbon bubble bursting, it's happening. It is happening, but it is very slow. But I don't think we're quite there yet. I really don't think we're quite there yet.
I hope we're not.
Yeah, no, and I'm not willing to even. I really don't want to even entertain that thought fully because I want to see what's next. And Bardstown is doing the innovation. They're doing the hard work to get there too. And you know, I'm still excited about 6-year wheated bourbon.
Yes. And fun fact, it was tried at 4 years, 5 years, and Steve was like, everyone was like, oh, this is it. This is the one. We're there. Let's do it. Bottle right now. He's like, no. He's so graceful. He's like, patience, kids, patience. And we just was like, and now we understand because this is truly just a special.
That's what 50 years in the business gives you.
I'm telling you.
You know, it's patience. It's understanding of
Absolutely.
You know,
The Bardstown Bourbon Company.
Indeed.
Boom.
Kia, thank you so much for being
Thank
here
you,
with us
guys.
as well. We're approaching the end of the evening. We're welcoming our last brand ambassador here. We got Matt from Dark Arts Whiskey.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
I'm
Bro,
really
crazy.
excited to be talking about Dark Arts Whiskey. We have only ever talked about these guys once on the podcast, as far as like reviewing products go. But we're frequently talking about Macaulay too, because he's an interesting dude.
He is.
But Macaulay's not here.
He's not.
Matt's here.
Yeah, I'm not as interesting.
Wait, are you saying that we can talk shit about Macaulay because he is an interesting dude when he's not here?
On this podcast, you can do whatever you want to.
Let's all talk about his furs and his hats and everything like that. You want to talk about that?
He kind of looks like
Macaulay.
He kind of looks like if Coachella were a person.
I could not describe it better.
Matt, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate being on, and I'm going to use that one in the future. If Coachella was my boss, it would be Macaulay.
So talk about your experience, not just with Dark Arts, because you started elsewhere too, right?
Yeah, I did start elsewhere, maybe not in the production side of things, but on a fellow bourbon podcast.
I would say we're at this is like the trinity of podcasting.
Yeah,
right?
it's very
right,
strange,
yeah.
the triumvirate.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if we're all friends here or we're all secretly.
That's why there's a huge line divided in the middle.
Yeah, don't cross. Don't cross
I have
that
no
line.
problem with the bourbon life.
I have no problem with anyone else.
I mean,
here.
they get the best lunch all the time.
Well, one of the bourbon life gets the best lunch at Liquor Barn, the chicken salad sandwich. The other one gets chopped liver.
I mean,
best.
lunch and allocation.
That's Chad, right?
Yeah, so this would be talking about Mark, the big name, the face of the Bourbon Life podcast, which is the podcast that I'm involved with. So we've been doing it for 4 years. We've been super gracious for all the support we've had along the way, booking great guests. We've had both Kenny and Ryan on the show. That was a great time. Mark also extended and went on their show. So that's where I kind of cut my teeth within somewhat of the bourbon industry, although not really on the production side of things, but excited to be here and started working with Macaulay and Dark Arts about a month ago, and super, super grateful for the support we've been given we've received from everybody here, and happy to share our brand with you all.
Yeah. So, yes. Well, I will pause for applause. I'm very sorry.
Yeah.
Standing ovation, I think.
This is
don't
like
crowd it at once now.
Yeah,
Okay?
this is like the
Sit
Oscars,
down.
like when they play you out, like
Yeah.
you
Dude,
speak
you
too
did
long and they
did
start the
most
music,
subtle
everybody
flex.
claps.
You did the most subtle flex too. You're like, we had Kenny and Ryan on our podcast, and we've only got Kenny.
I don't know what that's
I've
supposed
been
to
on
mean,
their
man. I don't appreciate
podcast,
you saying that
blah,
either,
blah,
by the way. I'm pretty sure we had a moment over here, and all of a
We
sudden...
did. I'm just
Okay.
saying I'd like another moment.
All right.
Well, what we never told people was that when we tried to get Kenny and Ryan for this weekend, Ryan straight up said no, and he flipped me the bird. So,
He's not subtle. I get it.
no, Ryan was busy this weekend, so it's all good. Tell us about the pour that you brought us for this as well.
The pour that I brought for us tonight is an interesting.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Matt. I just looked over at my co-host, who again was laying his head on Kenny's lap.
I think it got weird because I was petting him, and that's why you thought.
That's what really.
That's really
yeah,
what
it was the chest rub.
Yeah.
It was the chest rub that he was receiving that was a nice
Everybody has a dog at
circular
home, they have
motion.
that special spot they got to hit, and that's.
He's a Great Dane guy. This is like, he doesn't know his size. He thinks he's 20 pounds and he belongs on everybody's lap.
I'm a corgi.
No, buddy, you're a Great Dane.
Maybe a marginal Dane. I don't know. We'll see.
Marginal mutant. Here we go.
Anyway, what's this bottle?
So the bottle that I brought is something. This is straight from the mind and the creative talent of Macaulay Minton. This is a rye whiskey finished in Armagnac and Madeira barrels, and we have dubbed this the Blunt Blend.
Ooh.
Yeah, so really popular within the bourbon
And a wild Mossica
and
beer.
whiskey industry here.
Brother, he sang his way here. He is fine.
That's right, yeah.
He heard blunt and came running.
So everybody knows that the cigar blends and cigar batches are really popular within the bourbon whiskey industry, and they pair great. With a cigar, everybody loves them for that. But we wanted to step outside and challenge the norm here, kind of challenge convention and unleash our spirit, and that's where the Blunt Blend came with. So this is a 95.5 rye whiskey that has been, again, finished in Armagnac and Madeira barrels. Just a completely different beast, completely different animal. Just
So
really
during
unique.
the R&D, how many Swisher Sweets were going through here?
It may or may not be filtered through.
There you go.
Through Swisher paper. Yeah.
This is crazy. This is crazy.
It
It's
smells so
interesting.
good.
Yeah. To me, coming up with this, because I didn't even really know how to talk about it, but it has these notes, especially on the palate, that remind me almost of a nice gin. Kind of pine, juniper, sort of like that crisp note on the palate. Really get top palate, but then this cooling, like menthol
Absolutely.
effect with it as well. It's unique. A really, really different beast.
Very spliffy.
Yeah.
I just want to eat all of the snacks after I drink this.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
all the snacks. This is great. This
Some
is
people may
crazy.
say it's like the Spliff Van Winkle of.
Coffee.
Yeah.
New spliff.
Yeah. If this is the things you're looking forward to with dark arts, then y'all don't sleep on them because this stuff's good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and this is just a taste of everything we've got. There's a lot of finishing barrels that are released just as finishing barrels, but we like to blend. We like to try, what does an Armagnac and a Pinot taste like? I don't know. What does a Madeira and a Sherry taste like together, or different portions and ratios? This is not a 50-50 blend. So it wasn't just 2 barrels, 3 barrel, or a straight blend together. It was put together for a purpose, tasted for a purpose, tried for a purpose, and bottled for a purpose.
And this goes back to what I was saying earlier too, that even though the air might be getting let out a little bit of the bubble, I'm not ready for it to burst just yet, because I do want to see what's next. And I feel like even if the envelope does keep getting pushed and pushed and pushed, I think that there is still undiscovered territory and double finishing, triple finishing. Like that to me is still exciting. It may not be to some people true bourbon,
Yeah.
or true rye, but in some capacity, it's a shade of it, or a tint of it, a hue, whatever. It just is, in a different capacity to me, and it's a celebration in one area or another, and it's the alchemy, it's the dark arts of it all.
It
You
is
know,
the
how far
alchemy
can
of
we-
the dark
the way
arts.
How
you
far can we
talk
push
when you
it?
bring
That's
it
a beautiful
back.
plug.
Oh
I'm glad
my
I paid for
God.
that.
Circular thinking, I guess. I don't know, man.
It's
It
Macaulay.
really
is.
is. Yeah.
It is Macaulay.
Coach
Put him
Ella,
on
we're a person.
FaceTime. Let's see.
I don't
What?
want to.
Okay.
I think it's best not to surprise somebody as free spirited as Macaulay. But it needs to be planned. It needs to be planned.
I can call him right now. We can dial him in.
Okay. I mean, I'm not saying that.
How about we set it up like a couple months in advance?
Yeah. Please.
Yeah, let's figure that out in the meantime. But I was also going to bring up that Dark Arts is not yet in stores, but it is just online, correct?
No, we are in stores.
Oh, what?
Where
Yeah.
have you been?
I was in a liquor store recently and I didn't see it.
I saw it in Malibu Pike.
Okay, well, I'm sorry.
I've seen it in California way.
Yeah. We are.
There we
We
go.
are in at
Come back to daddy.
at least 22 different states
Sorry, everybody.
right now.
Sometimes
Distribution
your
is
brain doesn't work the right way.
Wait, I've seen them in New Orleans. I've seen them in Texas.
New Orleans,
They're all
Texas,
over the markets.
all over.
watching.
Okay.
Macaulay.
Okay. Well, anyway.
So we are out there.
That doesn't change my question. What
You
are
know-
your
you know
plans
the
for
best thing about
distribution in
that?
the future? Do you know?
I think our plans for distribution are to make sure that we've got our distributors covered right now and make sure that they feel supported. And so we grew really fast in the start, and it's been awesome. It's been such a great ride, and we've been so busy that they needed to bring on an employee, and that was me, because Macaulay couldn't juggle everything anymore all by himself.
It's not a.
So
Not a bad
that's
thing.
The greatest problem to have is being so busy that you need to hire someone else. But I think we're really focused on making sure that all of our distributors feel like we're giving them the attention that they need. And so 22 different markets, 22 different states. We want to make sure that everybody that has us right now is getting the product they need, getting the support they need, that single barrels are getting out where they need to go. We do offer single barrel picks from whomever. We are willing to work with a distributor to make sure that you are getting the product you want.
I got a good question for you though. So you've we're talking about emerging markets,
Yeah.
emerging flavors, emerging things. Other than this with a blimp blend, are there any other emerging narcotics that you're working with?
And which strand?
Yeah.
Are we
I-
sativa or indica in the house? Really, that's the real big question.
It's the bourbon and Coke blend.
I was told
I'm down for that.
I was told this is sativa, but there might be a ayahuasca in the future. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? Right.
All right. Well, Matt, thank you so much for making me lose control of my own podcast.
Never had control to begin with.
Right you are,
Yeah.
Eric. Anyway. Thanks for being here, buddy. I appreciate it.
Oh,
Thanks,
thank you all
Matt.
so much for
We
having
love
us
you,
on.
man. Yeah. Thank you.
Folks, we normally end out any show that we do with tips and bits. It's the segment where we recommend things that we've been watching, listening to, enjoying recently that we want you to also check out. We're going to put Kenny here on the spot because he's never done tips and bits before. Kenny.
The third thing tonight that he's going to be doing.
Yeah,
This is a lot of new things for me tonight,
The-
guys. So I feel like I've been indoctrrined tonight.
it's your
as
final
well.
trial to actually be inaugurated
My tips and
into
bits is Kenny's lap.
Yeah. Come on over here. If we're gonna do this, let's just make it official. We'll just keep it going. There we go.
Good.
I've been known for having a soft lap.
Mine is the album Purgatory by Tyler Childers because we've been listening off and on to it all night, and it's just kind of set the mood for me this evening. And man, I had a moment right before everybody came up to the area. Tattoos started playing, and I just kind of looked at the space and I realized everything was fine. And I was like, this is good. And things were good. And I was happy. And it settled in that we got here finally. So thank you all for being here. But I don't want to. No. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you. Kenny, what do you have to recommend, man?
Well, by the way, this is first off, thank you so much for having me here tonight. It is
course,
truly an
man.
honor to be able to do this.
Yeah.
I know I'd stressed it before that this is the easiest thing of what it is to be able to do a podcast. And you all do a fantastic job. There are a lot of stories to be able to tell in the world of whiskey and everything like that. And this is a segment of the show where I'm supposed to talk about like other things that I'm interested in that I listen to outside of the world of whiskey. You know, as a host of a bourbon podcast and as a host of just anything that you listen to, and you see, look, I love like his deep blue eyes just looks at me and it's just like, Father, can I have? No, I'm just
Tell me what you want, Daddy.
He looked up.
But it was just perfect timing.
That was so good. Sorry.
But
Anyway,
if I give one thing to say, like if there's something that people that listen to this, and by the way, there was, if you don't pay attention to it, Perry and Eric, there is a newsletter that comes out all the time. It's every single day. It's talked about Podcast Daily, and it actually says that podcast listeners are actually more educated than the general consumer base, right? And so that
That's
says
you all.
something.
That's you all here.
For you all here, right? Okay, it says something for half of you all here.
the ones who are willing to accept their fates.
No, but it truly does. I mean, it does say something to the types of people that listen to this long form content, the ones that truly care about education. And I get a lot of inspiration when I see people that do really well and do really good things. And the show that has really been something that I've aspired to for a very long time, that I really emulate and see a lot of stuff out of, is the show Hot Ones. If you've ever seen that
Amen to that, man.
YouTube, it like the deep research that goes into a particular guest that comes on to know their story and what goes on, and the fact that they make them go through 20 minutes of a gauntlet of eating very hot, spicy wings while trying to answer questions while their mouth is on fire. It is a truly unique and remarkable way of having somebody tell like bullshit stories of why their cool movie is new or whatever. So, like I said, so that's just one of those things that it's like, if you are looking for new forms of content, new things that you go and check out Hot Ones on YouTube. I think it's by far one of the things that I really aspire to.
Have you all tried to get Sean on the show?
It sure is right here.
Have you all tried to get Sean on?
I have not
Bourbon
tried to get
Pursuit?
Sean on. You know, we definitely are. We're one of those people that. Oh, thank you so much. We sit in the background a little bit, and you know, you probably have your own way of how you find guests and bring guests on, and we have our own thing as well. And it's like we'll think of ideas, but I don't necessarily go outside the bounds of thinking, oh, let's go and get.
Well, he's also a whiskey
like
guy.
Hot Ones. I understand that, but it's like. You know, you want to focus on what your audience is going to care about.
You can get me on
I
there
think
anytime
I'm sure
you
you all have seen it before too.
He said, no, don't do that.
No. I'm not going to say don't do that. But I will say it's the reason that we turn down celebrities all the time.
Sure.
We don't have celebrities on the show because most of the time there's no depth to the story.
Right.
I mean, I remember the day we turned down John Taffert to come on the show we turned him down because he comes out with a bourbon called Brown Butter Bourbon. Like, what the fuck am I going to talk to him about for an hour? What the fuck?
Yeah.
So
it's
I just looked at it and I was
it's
like, there's no
also
way.
really bad whiskey.
Yeah. I just said, there's no way I can talk about this for an hour and keep a straight face. And those are the things. It's like, you know, just make sure you keep true to yourself, and you make sure that you create content for the audience that actually cares, because celebrities aren't going to make it happen. You're going to build the audience around it, and it's going to be the people that are going to be around you that care about the content, not about the people that are on there, but it's going to be about you all, and it's what's going to help to build around it as well.
We're going to pick your brain someday about a lot of different things, but that's not the time nor place for it. I don't know what Masick just poured for us, but okay, well, finish that up in a minute. But I just want to say again, thank you all so much for being here. This has been an incredible event. Thank you to the brands who were willing to support this evening as well. I think most of them have packed up and gone home.
You said last call.
I did say last call. That was an important part, too, of making sure everybody got home safely. But this has been a wonderful time. Thank you all very much. We will see you all real soon. Until next time, though, I'm Perry.
I'm still in love, baby. I mean, I'm the Whiskey Mutant. Get all the snacks, get all the food. Take us home.
Well, thank you, Eric. Thank you, Perry. Thank you so much for having me, and Kenny from Bourbon Pursuit, and everybody from This Is My Bourbon Podcast Weekend. Thank you so much for having me here tonight.
Yay!
Thank you.
And This Is My Bourbon Podcast Live. We'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.